what the US has achieved on tariffs was something that most economists didn't think was going to happen. We thought that there would be massive retaliation against the US. There hasn't been. Europe, the UK, a number of Asian countries have all signed framework agreements. The only outstanding ones are India, Canada, and China, and there's clear progress on China. Secondly, we're collecting a lot of tariff revenues. On an annual basis, we're now looking at 300 billion of tariff revenues. Third, the impact on inflation has been limited. So if you look at what people have been worried about, the US has gotten to a fairer trading system without the disadvantages that people thought would materialize. Now, it's early days, so one has to consolidate these gains, but it's a different outcome from where many economists, including me, thought we would be.
All of the economists who said the tariffs were going to ruin the economy are starting to admit that they were wrong. Here we have economists from Wharton, very prestigious business school, says that tariffs achieved something economists didn't think about. We thought there would be a massive retaliation against the United States. There hasn't been. We're collecting $800 billion in tariff revenue. Inflation has waned off. Now, what is interesting is this is the first president, and he tried to do this in the first term that he was in there, but this is the first president who has used the leverage of the strength of the United States economy, aka the buying power of the United States people. Our country is full of people that love to buy stuff. And other countries, yes, they may be manufacturing them, but they need the United States to be able to sell those products into, because we're consumers and we just waste a bunch of money on junk, as you know. Well, most presidents in the past have not understood the actual leverage that provided our country when it came to negotiation power. And now we can see Trump utilizing that with the tariffs, essentially saying, okay, China, okay, India, you want to sell our citizens all of these products that, even though we did ask you to make them, you're going to have to pay the tariff to sell it back to us. Now, some people in the economy at first thought, oh, well, if I'm a business owner and I have all my products manufactured in China, then that's going to ruin my business and I'm going to have to hike my prices up 5x higher. But in reality, all they had to do was talk to the supplier in China and say, hey, by the way, China supplier, I'm no longer going to be able to make this product and sell it in the United States because it's going to be too expensive. I need you to cut your prices down. And sure enough, they did that. So the symbioticity is continuing and business is thriving all the way around. And the United States is coming out on top with these new trade deals. But there is a secret economy emerging right now as well. The entire United States economy is 7 companies sending trillions of fake dollars back and forth to each other. And Adam on X took it a step further and made the actual graphic here. This isn't a joke, by the way. This is actually the U.S. economy. That's currently going on. Right now, we're going to start getting these manufacturing and some hard goods back in the United States. But this is actually what's going on. So you have NVIDIA in the middle, which is a $4.5 trillion company where everyone continues to send money to. And then NVIDIA takes the money that they're receiving as investments from all of these companies, and then they invest in this company, and then they invest in this company. So each one of these companies are investing in each other, and they're just continuing to flow money to each other, propping each other up. Because remember, this economy is based on the internet. There's no hard goods except for NVIDIA's processors that they're making. But remember, NVIDIA doesn't actually make the processors that they sell. They're actually just drop shipping the item. They've done a phenomenal job of becoming this company that says we sell this product, but in reality, they're buying it from Taiwan and then they're shipping it out to these companies who are buying it as a full package because everyone's building their AI using the NVIDIA processor. So this is the reason why a lot of people are saying this AI economy is kind of a bubble right now, but at the same time, it's different than the past because the actual income that these companies are generating on paper tends to continue to go up. Even though they are essentially investing into each other, these companies are actually still making money. And in the comment section, we see here from Alex, from the post that Adam made, I find it hilarious that trillion-dollar multinational corporations are allowed to do this legally, But circular revenue is completely illegal when done on a smaller scale with smaller business. It's absolutely insane. And Steph has a great point here, kind of what I was just talking about. If there were no customers, then you would agree it's basically a Ponzi scheme. However, let's include the 40 million odd and climbing subscribers to these services. So these companies are actually making money, as I was mentioning. At $10 each, that is nearly $500 million per month for customers spend on these services. The supply will eventually balance on the demand. And then we have the Federal Reserve's overnight reverse repurchase agreements, or on RPP, which they have dropped now from $2.5 trillion to just $2.4 billion as of October 24th. So check out this chart right here. As you can see, we had this crazy fall to the downside. And this is a huge deal because this facility was like a parking lot for extra cash in the financial system. And now that money is just flooding back into the market. So Pumpius did a great job of breaking this down. So let's take a listen. He says, here's what happens next. The $2.5 trillion once trapped at the Fed parking lot is now flooding into the global markets. Bank reserves are holding near $2.93 trillion, over 130 billion away from the critical level that triggered the 2019 repo crisis. SOFR stress is already visible above 4.2%. Liquidity is moving fast and violently. The XRP connection will shock you. Research from multiple institutional liquidity desks confirms what Ripple insiders have hinted at for years. RRP drains directly correlate with demand for real-time settlement assets. So literally right now, the world's liquidity is searching for instant settlement. XRP was engineered for that exact moment. So each time the reverse repos unwind, the demand for on-demand settlement instruments like XRP spikes cross-border corridors and institutional payment rails. This is not a coincidence. It's a systemic design. And if you've been paying attention long enough, the global debt spiral is happening. The United States faces a $24 to $28 trillion debt rollover between 2025 and 2027. Liquidity from traditional markets is being forced into more efficient settlement systems. And this is not just a monetary shift. It is literally a full migration of value infrastructure. And as you guys all remember, what does Brad Garlinghouse continue to call XRP and Ripple? The internet of value. While legacy markets drain liquidity, the XRP ledger's on-demand settlement capacity stands ready to absorb the flow. And this is what Ripple was built for over a decade ago under all of the NDAs that they had signed and a quiet institutional integration. Some immediate consequences. Well, XRP is positioned for institutional revaluation as liquidity migrates. Traditional market indicators begin to lose relevance. Central bank control over liquidity weakens permanently, and the digital settlement era officially begins. So as we know, Ripple, the company, has been buying company after company after company, preparing itself for some sort of scenario like this to happen. And it is in position right now to unleash the floodgates once the floodgates do open. So exciting times to pay attention to what's going on in the world global economy when it comes to money flow. And more times you continue to see this. America's debt crisis explodes. Millions now drowning in car loans, maxed out credit cards, personal loan defaults as FICO sounds the alarm on soaring delinquencies. Now, as you know, we also have a severe problem in the United States for debt. Well, we also have Trump, who's going to be using these tariffs to help the United States debt. But at the same time, it is definitely a possibility that we're using them as the external revenue service where we could actually start to offset America's debt problem as well.